Starting off with Thursday, and we found out just how effective our world-first social media ban has been.
The Albanese government today is encouraged by the progress made with the landmark social media ban for under-16s.
More than 4.7 million underage accounts were deactivated since the start of Australia's landmark social media ban.
4.7 million accounts gone.
4.7 million accounts gone, although suspiciously 4.7 million new accounts with youthful complexions and prominent moustaches. A patriotic PM claimed this was a win for the nation and for the world.
This is a source of Australian pride. This was world-leading legislation, but is now being followed up around the world.
France is set to follow in Australia's footsteps, reportedly banning social media for under-15s from the start of the academic year in September.
The French are hoping for similar results to Australia, just with thinner, more suave moustaches. But not everyone was sold. Sunrise host Monique Wright wasn't convinced the ban was working and spoke from first-hand experience.
I live with a house of teenagers and I was asking them all, it's basically had zero effect on that little group.
On that group.
You live in a house full of teenagers? That's pretty weird, Monique. Surely it's time to get your own place. But according to Albo, post-social media kids are living a more idyllic, wholesome childhood.
Meaning that young people, instead of being on their devices during these school holidays, have been cycling around facilities.
Oh, finally the children can cycle around facilities. So what other wholesome activities are the kids getting up to now that they're not wasting their lives on social media?
Dozens of so-called e-bike cowboys have swarmed a popular golf course on Sydney's northern beaches. Police attended the scene at the Long Reef Golf Club last Friday after reports dozens of young people were riding bikes through the course.
And not a phone in sight. Just a bunch of kids getting outdoors, cycling around the facilities. To Saturday, and self-proclaimed acting president of Venezuela, Donald Trump, turned to his next potential acquisition, Greenland.
Right now, a high-stakes meeting on the future of Greenland. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, they're meeting with their Danish and Greenlandic counterparts as President Donald Trump pushes to acquire the island.
The White House says President Trump is considering options, including the use of military force, to acquire Greenland.
Trump is obsessed with getting his hands on this sparsely populated island, maybe because he no longer has access to another sparsely populated island. According to Trump, there's a very good reason for taking over Greenland.
Since his first term, President Trump has eyed the Arctic island, claiming it's vital for national security.
We need Greenland for national security. We need Greenland for national security. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will.
Trump's right. He must invade Greenland to stop anyone invading Greenland. But in discussion with Norway, it became clear for Trump, it's personal.
The president sent a letter to Norway's prime minister. Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant.
The Norwegian government has no influence over who wins the Nobel Peace Prize. It's handled by a completely independent committee.
So Trump wants to invade Danish territory because Norway didn't give him a peace prize they can't give him. It's like that time I didn't win an Oscar, so I complained to a DVD vending machine. But Washington isn't wild about the idea of an invasion.
This is the dumbest idea ever.
To invade Greenland would be weapons-grade stupid.
And it's feared that if America does obtain weapons-grade stupid, they could one day create a moron of mass destruction. But despite the post-war Western alliance crumbling, there's no need to panic. Just ask top-ranking EU diplomat Kaja Kallas.
She's made headlines this week after a private conversation she had with lawmakers about the state of the world. Apparently, she said it might be a good moment to start drinking.
Well, like I always tell my kids, if in doubt, go to the pub. And it turns out it's not just time to get on the booze. Negotiations with the US went so poorly that the Danish foreign minister sprinted straight from the meeting to his car and immediately took up smoking again. By Sunday, things escalated, with NATO allies sending in the troops.
It started in the dead of the night with Denmark sending in the Air Force. France's Emmanuel Macron has also sent a team of French soldiers. Other allies, including Germany, Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands and the UK, are also sending in reinforcements.
Apparently, we have agreed to send one military officer to Greenland.
You hear that, America? One single military officer. If you want to take Greenland, you're going to have to go through Nigel. And if you don't knock it off, we'll also send Colin. With battle lines being drawn, there was still one option that could avoid bloodshed: the art of the deal.
Buying it is also an option. However, it could be an exorbitant price tag. It could cost the United States as much as $700 billion in order to buy the Danish territory.
And the population is only 57,000. The Cowboy Stadium could hold more than 100,000 in Dallas.
So Trump's willing to pay hundreds of billions of dollars to buy remote islands that can barely fill a stadium. Sir, can I interest you in Tasmania? But despite the generous offer, the locals in Greenland aren't keen to make a deal.
85% of Greenlanders do not wish to join the United States, with nearly half seeing Trump's interest as a threat.
I think Trump doesn't know about Greenlandic people. We don't really value cash and Kardashian lips and fake boobs.
Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, f*** off.
Put them down as a no. And I get it. Greenlanders are rightly concerned about becoming a vassal state of America, having their minerals ruthlessly exploited for foreign profit, while being completely dependent on the US for military protection. But to them I say, you get used to it. Yeah. Monday was the first day back at Parliament in Canberra, and top of the agenda, Albo's new hate speech laws.
I've said it consistently. I have said consistently, this should be a moment of national unity.
Once these laws are passed, they will be the toughest hate laws Australia has ever seen.
Creating serious offences for hate preachers and leaders seeking to radicalise children, as well as allowing the creation of a list of prohibited hate groups.
Anyone who's a member, recruiter or donator of a so-called hate group could face up to 15 years in prison. In anticipation, neo-Nazi group the National Socialist Network disbanding to avoid arrest.
They're now called the Neo-Nices, and they get together Wednesdays for indoor cricket and also have a first Tuesday of the month book burning club. But while that bit was easy, Albo found out that when it comes to religion, things are a bit more tricky.
I encourage you to read the Old Testament and see what's there and see if you outlaw that, what would occur.
He's right. There's heaps of stuff in those old books that doesn't meet modern standards. Slavery, violence, homophobia. I mean, frankincense and myrrh are hardly appropriate gifts for a baby. Now, while most of us focus on the nice bits, in the wrong hands, the bad bits can be fuel for radicalisation. Albo's bill aims to stamp that out, but the Constitution says you can't pass laws that prohibit the free exercise of religion. It's the kind of conundrum I'd normally take to my rabbi. And like Solomon himself, Albo offered a nifty solution.
Those who seek to incite racial hatred will face up to 5 years jail, but a defence against hate speech charges could be directly quoting or referencing a religious text for the purpose of teaching or discussion.
Some things are so horrible they have no place in Australian society and must be confined to a classroom. That includes hate speech and that other crime against humanity, long division. You are, of course, still allowed to declare a holy war as long as you have a test afterwards. But despite having a carve-out for religious teaching, faith leaders still weren't happy.
27 religious leaders have expressed deep concern about the bill's potential to impact religious freedom and expression. The Christian, Muslim, Sikh, Buddhist and Scientology groups, they say the laws could threaten reasonable religious discourse.
You know something's wrong when every major religion agrees. Even Scientologists were against it. And those guys are perfectly sane and not at all litigious. But Albo's trouble didn't end there. It's not just religious leaders who had a problem with the bill.
Labor's own members of parliament are calling this a shit show.
The Greens worried about the impact on freedom of speech.
You say Labor's proposed law to combat anti-Semitism could see a person jailed for up to 5 years for saying Australia is the greatest country in the world.
That's right. You can't show in the speech under the legislation any superiority.
Jailed? What is the charge? Being a patriot? A succulent Australian patriot? Sensing his bill was in trouble, Albo hit pause on the hate speech provisions to tighten up Australian gun laws. But even that drew objection from controversial cleric Barnaby Joyce.
We get firearms handed down to us like you might get pens or you might get chairs or pieces of furniture. It's your grandfathers, it's your great-grandfathers, and they have great sentimental attachment to it.
Yeah, Barnaby makes a great point. As a responsible antique owner myself, I always keep my great-aunt's chaise longue secured in my couch safe. So where did that leave the bill? The Coalition hated it, the Greens hated it, One Nation hated it, religious groups hated it, even grieving farmers inheriting an arsenal of weapons hated it. Which seemed like a loss for Albo, but let's not forget what this was about all along.
I've said it consistently. I have said consistently, this should be a moment of national unity.
Albo, you did it! You unified the nation in hatred of this bill. But then, just as all seemed lost, a miracle.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Susan Lee have cut a deal to pass Labor's hate speech laws through Parliament after a series of negotiations.
We did it! Hallelujah, Shabbat Shalom, Allahu Akbar, praise Zenu. Nobody's happy, but everybody is equally unhappy. And that is why Australia is the best country in the world. Oh shit, pulling was right.